A very good morning, students. Today I am here by taking a new topic concerning with your NEET examination, state board examination and CBSE board examination, that is what the structure of heart. Okay, in this we are going to study about the how the structure of heart is. In that, first of all, we will see about the evolutionary perspective of this heart. Meaning is that how the evolution of this heart took place. Likewise, if we talk about the Pisces or fishes, what kind of heart is present. If we talk about the amphibian and reptiles, what kind of heart is present. And if we talk about the aves or birds or mammals, what kind of heart present. First of all, we will talk about the heart which is present in case of the Pisces. Pisces having a heart. In that, what actually is happening in case of the Pisces or fishes, the heart which is present is what? Tubular like. It is a tubular heart with two chambers. It is what? A tubular heart with two chambers. Okay. In that, what we are seeing that from the body, heart, the blood which is pumped into the body, that is what? A deoxygenated blood. In case of the Pisces, the deoxygenated blood is pumped into the body, and that deoxygenated blood is circulated into it. And finally, from here, this deoxygenated blood is taken up by the gills, and where it is made oxygenated, and then this oxygenated blood is transferred to the body, and finally it is transmitted. So what actually we are seeing in case of the Pisces, the blood is flowing in a single way. Okay, in this a single kind of circulation is present. So we say in case of the Pisces, two chambered heart is present. Two chambered heart is present, and what we are seeing, only single circulation of blood is occurring. So we say it what? A single circulation of blood. And another thing is that in this case, what actually is happening, only impure blood is transferred, or the deoxygenated blood is transferred into the body. So we say it what? A venous heart. So in case of Pisces, what we have seen here we have seen the heart is what? A tubular-like structure which is having two chambers, and only deoxygenated blood is transferred in this. Another is what? It is what? A two-chambered heart having a single circulation of heart, and what is that? The venous heart. So these are the key qualities which are occurring in case of the Pisces or a heart which is present in the fishes. Let's talk about the amphibia and the heart which is present in case of the reptilia. Here the heart is pretty different than the Pisces. So what we are seeing here, in case of the amphibia and reptilia, we are having a heart okay, and this heart is what? Three-chambered. What is that? It is a three-chambered heart in which right atrium and left atrium are present. So it is having chambered like right atrium, and it is what? A left atrium. Okay, and in this right atrium, the deoxygenated blood enters. The blood which is not having oxygen is known as what? The deoxygenated blood. That blood is entering from the side of right atrium, and the oxygenated blood is taken up from the left atrium. Now these two kind of blood are taken up into another chamber known as what? The ventricle. Remember, in this case we are saying that the two atriums are present, right and left, but ventricle is only one in number. So it is the ventricle. The blood is taken up from here into the ventricle, and from in this ventricle the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is going to be mixed, and this mixed blood is transferred into the body. So what we are seeing that in case of the amphibian reptiles, the blood which is pumped into the body is what? Mixed type. Okay, which is what? Mixed type of blood is pumped into the body. So here we can conclude one important thing, and what is that? That in case of the amphibian reptilia, three-chambered heart is present. How many chamber? Three-chambered heart is present. And here what we are seeing that the atrium and ventricle both are involved in the transmission of blood. So we say it what? Arteriovenous heart. Arteriovenous heart. We say it what? Arteriovenous heart. So it is seen in case of the reptilia and amphibian. One exception is seen in case if we talk about the crocodile. We talk about the crocodile. Crocodile is having four-chambered heart. What is that? Four-chambered heart is seen in case of the crocodile. So what we are seeing that in case of the amphibian reptilia, three-chambered heart is present. It is what the arteriovenous heart, and one exception is seen in case of the crocodile, which is having four-chambered heart. Now let's talk about the aves and mammal, the highly evolved chordate. If we talk about the aves and mammals, we know one thing, that these are the highly evolved chordates, and they are having a 100% or fully developed heart, which is having four chambers. Now let's see what actually is happening in this case. So it is what? A four-chambered heart. Now let me label these all. If I say it is the right atrium, it is the left atrium, it is the right ventricle, and this is left ventricle. Okay, so here we are having how many chambers? Four chambers, two atrium and two ventricle. The deoxygenated blood is taken by the right side. So right atrium is receiving what? Deoxygenated blood, and left atrium is receiving water, oxygenated blood. And from here blood is taken into the right ventricle and left ventricle, and whole blood is circulated, and the detailed structure of this we are going to study later on. In that we will see how the structure of mammalian heart or human heart is. So here we have concluded one thing, that in case of the aves and mammal, four-chambered heart is present, and it is again having what? The two chamber, atrium and ventricle. So we say it what? Arteriovenous heart. Okay, it is called a arteriovenous heart. So in this particular we have seen certain evolutionary perspective related to the heart. First of all, we have studied about the paws Pisces, which is having two-chambered heart, simpler type. Next we talk about the amphibian reptilia, they are having the three-chambered heart. And when we talk about the aves and mammal, they are having the four-chambered or highly developed heart. Now we are going to study about the structure of heart in detail. Now we will study about the structure of human heart, how it look alike, and how and where it is situated. So first and foremost thing is that what kind of origin of our human heart is having. Our human heart is having what? A mesoderm. Mesodermal origin. What is that? We know one thing, that the embryo is having 3 layers: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So heart formation occurred because of this mesoderm layer. So we say that the heart of mammal is what? A mesodermal in origin. Okay. Next thing is that where it is situated. It is situated into the thoracic cavity. Okay, where it is situated? Thoracic cavity. Another thing is that how our human heart look alike? It look like a fixed. Okay, if we see a human heart, its appearance is like a fist. Its size is like a fist. Okay. Next, we see about the structure. What kind of structure it is having? In that, we will study about the what is the surrounding and covering of this human heart. Next, we will see about the layers of human heart. Next, we see about its chambers. Next, we see about the vessels which are present in the into the human heart. Next, we will study about the valves. What are the valves which are present in the human heart? So when we study these all things, by the help of this, we will study the whole structure of this particular organelle. Now let's start the structure. Okay. If I say it's a human heart, its upper part is known as what? The apex, and lower part is known as what? The base. Base से थोड़ा side में tilt रहता है. Okay. Another thing is that chambers. Okay, the chambers which are present in the human heart are so if I say these are the chambers of human heart, in this upper one is known as what? The right side part, right atrium. This is what? A left atrium. This is what? A right ventricle, and this is what? A left ventricle. 4 chambers complete. Next, let's see which is the outermost covering. First of all, let me talk about the protective covering which is present outside the heart. So if I say a layer is present outside the heart which is having 2 parts, one is the outer and another is what? The inner. So we say it what? A pericardium. What is that? This is what? A pericardium. So outermost protective covering of the heart is what? The pericardium. It is having the 2 layers, outer and inner. One is what? The visceral pericardial and parietal pericardial, and it is also having a fluid which is known as what? The pericardial fluid. The thing is that why here is the presence of a pericardial fluid? It is present just to avoid the friction in between the walls. दो walls के बीच में जो friction आ जाता है उसको avoid करने के लिए इसमें क्या present होता है? Fluid present होता है, known as what? The pericardial fluid. Besides it, it is also having the 3 layers. Okay, human heart is having how many layers? 3 layers, in which outermost is what? The epicardium. Middle one is what? The mesocardium, and inner one is what? The endocardium. Okay, so these are what? The walls of the heart: epicardium, mesocardium and endocardium. One important thing is that the middle layer or mesocardium is what? A more thick. The thickness of middle layer is much more high. So these are the 3 layers which are present into the heart. Another thing is that here you are seeing that the certain convolution like structures are present. Okay, these convoluted structure is having some specific muscles known as what? The papillary muscles. What are these? Papillary muscles. Okay, here also this thing is present. Okay, so papillary muscles are present in left ventricle as well. Okay, besides it, what another things are present in the human heart? If I talk about that, in between right atrium and left right ventricle, there must be the presence of a valve. Okay, in between the right atrium and right ventricle, a valve is present, known as what? A tricuspid valve, or tricuspid valve, or okay, its name is what? A tricuspid valve. And here it is a valve is also present, known as what? The left atrium, left ventricle is having what? A bicuspid valve or mitral valve. Mitral valve. So here is the presence of two valves. Right atrium and right ventricle is having a tricuspid, and left atrium and left atrium biventricle is having what? A bicuspid valve or the mitral valve. Okay. Now, I have talked about these papillary muscles. Okay, these papillary muscles is having some specific thread-like structure which are going to bind with these valves. These thread-like structures are very, very important. Because it do not allow the reversal of valves, and this thread-like structure is having a specific name known as what? The chordae tendineae. What are these? Chordae tendineae. So these are the threads which are made up of muscles which do not allow the reversal of valve. So these valves are going to stay in their particular position. Okay, they are not going to show any reversion because of the presence of these particular chord tendineae. Next we talk about uh, like what are the vessels which are associated with right atrium and what are the vessels which are associated with the left atrium. If I say that right atrium is going to receive a deoxygenated blood, it is having two openings. What are these? It is having two openings. This is known as superior vena cava and this one is known as inferior vena cava. What are these? Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. These two vessels are bringing blood which is deoxygenated bringing water deoxygenated blood from the body into this right atrium. So superior vena cava, inferior vena cava are bringing deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. Next we talk about the another supply which is known as what? The coronary artery. What is that? If I write it, what? What is that? Coronary artery. It is bringing deoxygenated blood from the heart muscles. So what we are seeing that the right atrium receiving all the deoxygenated blood from three important parts. Likewise, the upper body part is having deoxygenated blood taken up by this superior vena cava and transferred into this right atrium. Next we are having the inferior vena cava, which is having deoxygenated blood from the lower body part and again transferred into the right atrium. Next we talk about the coronary artery, which receives deoxygenated blood from the heart muscles and transferred it into this particular chamber. So what we are seeing that the right atrium is receiving deoxygenated blood. Okay, let's talk about the left atrium. Okay, this left atrium is having two pairs of vessels. Okay, it is having what? Two pairs of vessels or four vessels known as what? The pulmonary vein. What are these? Pulmonary veins, which is taking what? Oxygenated blood into this oxygenated blood into heart. Okay, what is taking that? Pulmonary vein is taking oxygenated blood into the heart. Okay, from where? From the lungs. Okay, so we have seen one thing very clear over here. What is that? Right atrium is receiving what? A deoxygenated blood from the whole body, and left atrium is receiving oxygenated blood from lungs by the help of a pulmonary vein. Always remember, it is the only vein. Pulmonary vein is the only vein which is having oxygenated blood. Besides it, all the vein is carrying what? A deoxygenated blood. Now let's talk about some another artery and aorta as well. So we are seeing in the right atrium there is also the presence of a artery known as what? The pulmonary artery. What is that? Pulmonary artery. So we can write its name here. Like, what is that? Pulmonary artery. What is that? Pulmonary artery. So pulmonary artery is the artery which is present where? Into the right ventricle, taking the deoxygenated blood. So deoxygenated blood from the right atrium is taken up by the pulmonary artery and transferred into the lungs for the purification. Again, one thing is coming over here. Pulmonary artery is the artery which is having what kind of blood? Having a deoxygenated blood. What is that? Deoxygenated blood is present into the pulmonary artery. Next we talk about another vessel which is present. If I see one thing, that in the left ventricle again a opening is present. Okay, this is known as what? The aorta. What is that? Aorta, which is supplying what? Oxygenated blood into the body. So what we are seeing, that aorta is having water, oxygenated blood, and this oxygenated blood is taken up into the body by the help of this. Again, always remember one thing, at the surface of the aorta or at the surface of the pulmonary artery, always and always valves are present, and these valves are known as what? The semilunar valve. What is that? Semilunar valve, and it is present where? Into the pulmonary artery. So we say it what? A semilunar valve. And if I talk about this aorta, it is also having a semilunar valve known as what? A aortic semilunar semilunar valve. So we are saying that the aortic semilunar valve and pulmonary semilunar valve. So this is the valves or structure which is present into the human heart. Next, let's talk about some another aspects which are present. If I say that the right part of the heart is differentiated from the left part, it is due to the presence of septum, known as what, the interauricular septum. What is that? Interauricular septum. And if I talk about a septum which is present into the ventricle, known as what, the interventricular septum. What is that? Interventricular septum. So it is what, a interauricular septum, the septum which is present between the two auricles, interauricular septum, and septum which is present between the two ventricles is known as what, the interventricular septum. Another important aspect is also present. What we are seeing, where this interauricular septum present in between the auricle, there is the presence of a depression, okay, and a hole, and that is known as what, a fossa ovales. What is that? Fossa ovales. And one important thing is that from where this fossa ovales is present, okay, this is evolved from foramen oval. So what we are seeing, that a hole is present known as what, the foramen oval, which converts into a depression known as what, the fossa ovalis. And always remember, or you have heard this thing वेरियस टाइम्स कि भाई किसी के हार्ट में छेद है, उसके तो दिल में छेद है, एक बच्चे की बर्थ हुई उसके दिल में छेद रह गया, तो होता क्या है, जो ये हमारा फोसा ओवेलिस होता है, ठीक है, ये प्रॉपर लॉक नहीं हो पाता है, यहाँ पर एक डिप्रेशन क्रिएट नहीं हो पाता है, और इस सिचुएशन में यहाँ पर एक होल रह जाता है, तो हम क्या कह देते हैं कि भाई उसके तो हार्ट में होल रह गया है. अदरवाइज व्हाट एक्चुअली इज हैपनिंग, ये कन्वर्ट हो जाता है एक डिप्रेशन के अंदर और ये पूरा सील आउट हो जाता है, देन वी सेड व्हाट, अ फोसा ओवेलिस. सो I think so we have seen all the important structure of the human heart, okay. Let me summarize this all within 2 seconds. What we have seen, that the human heart is having how many chambers? 2 chambers. One is what, the 2 atrium and 2 ventricle, and our human heart is divided into 2 parts, right side and the left side. Right part is having right atrium and right ventricle, left part is having left atrium and left ventricle, okay. And what you are seeing, that in the right atrium there is the presence of the 2 veins which is bringing deoxygenated blood into the right atrium, known as what, the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. They are bringing the blood into the right atrium, and here is the also present of the coronary artery, which is bringing blood into the heart from the walls of the heart. So this right atrium is receiving all the deoxygenated blood from the body. It is also having the right ventricle. This right ventricle is receiving again deoxygenated blood from this right atrium to right ventricle, and from this right ventricle the artery which is present, known as what, the pulmonary artery, this deoxygenated blood is taken for the purification process, okay. Next we talk about the left side. Left side is having what, a left atrium which is receiving oxygenated blood by the help of pulmonary vein and from the lungs, and from here the oxygenated blood is transferred into the left ventricle, and this left ventricle is again having a aorta which is taking this oxygenated blood into the whole body. Next is we talk about the presence of valves. Right atrium and right ventricle is having a valve known as what, the tricuspid valves, and in between the left atrium and left ventricle there is the presence of a valve known as what, the bicuspid or mitral valve. And on the surface of ventricles there is the presence of certain extensions known as what, the chordae tendineae. These chordae tendineae prevent the reversal of valves. And one important thing is that the ventricular muscle is always and always thick in comparison to the atrium. Why? Because ventricle has to supply or pump the blood into the whole body, and especially to the left ventricle. Left ventricle muscles are so thick. If I talk about the which layer is much more thickest, if we talk about the epicardium, mesocardium, and endocardium, then it is what the mesocardium layer, which is having more cardiac muscle in number. So we are saying that the ventricle, which is the left ventricle, is having the more muscular valve. If valve is most muscular because of the presence of mesocardium, which is having the more cardiac muscles. So that's why it can pump blood into the whole body with huge pressure. So these are the peculiarities and some structures present in the human heart. I hope you all understood it in very well way. Okay, I tried to explain it in a way so that you all can understand in a very good way. Okay, thank you so much.